Welcome everyone to our Bede Introductory event. My name is Marion Weinzierl. I am the Research Software Engineering Theme Lead in N8 CIR, and I'm also the co-lead of the Bede Support group, together with Simon Hood, who's the Research Infrastructure Engineering Theme Lead at N8 CIR, and my colleague Mark Dixon, who's looking after Bede and who's the head of the platforms team in Durham. And basically he is root, so he is the person who's making sure that everybody is fine on Bede and things work. What I'll talk about today is giving a short overview of Bede, a bit about how you can register and how you can get support before we go over to the interesting part of this event, which will be the case studies. So people who are actually already running their codes on Bede, and they will give short presentations about their experience and how they benefit from Bede's capabilities. So the idea behind the machine originally, when the grant application was written, was they wanted a machine that enables us to have data from observations and models to inform each other, to be more effective in doing this, and so to support scientific discovery. And they want to have codes that can use the specific hardware architecture that hopefully can extend what's possible in supercomputing, especially GPU computing. And another objective that we had was we also want to have a community of expertise to enable best use. So we want to help you as researchers to actually be able to use Bede the best possible. Who's involved? So the machine is funded by EPSRC, while N8 provides the running costs. The system support and the hosting is provided by Durham University. And then we have research software engineering support, so 1 FTE worth of support at each of the 8 universities. The whole thing is overall coordinated by N8 CIR, and we are working closely together with IBM for training for the Bede RSEs and also the researchers to make use of the machine, and also OCF, who are providing hardware and storage. The computing resources are not only available for N8 researchers, but there is also a certain percentage that is made available for other EPSRC grant holders. So that is the national access part, and we'll have actually one case study today that is not from an N8 institution. Just a short slide on Bede. So why is this computer called Bede? Originally it was called NICE, which was the Northern Intensive Computing Environment, actually NICE 19. But with last year's event, we decided that maybe NICE 19 doesn't have the best associations with the name. So it was now dubbed Bede, because Bede was a scholar that was quite influential and quite well known in the 7th century, who did a lot of scientific writing and calculations that were very relevant at that time. Apparently wasn't the best teacher, because his students seem to have preferred to go fox hunting instead of going to his lessons. But nevertheless, so it's the name of the supercomputer. We had some COVID delays last year, so it was expected to go into service by summer 2020. It was actually delivered prior to lockdown, but then the building up of the equipment was slowed down through lockdown restrictions, but Mark was able to basically make it possible that it was built up, and we had a first pre-acceptance user access in July, when there was the GPU hackathon in Sheffield, which was quite helpful as well to inform us a bit of capabilities and what's going into the documentation and things like that. And it was then fully accepted and handed over by the end of August. We had the first pilot users on from 2020, and we started building our support group in November, so that from December we could then actually let the first general users on there. And we're still working on some things. So just recently, for example, we had the final version of the registration process set up. And we are also still working on things like the Bede support group. So just making sure that we all also know everything we need to know to support you. So bear with us if we not always immediately know the answer to everything, but we will make sure that we work with you to find the answers you need. Just quickly about the system architecture and also the software and the machine. So you will probably be interested mostly in the compute nodes, in the GPU nodes that Bede has. So Bede is mainly a GPU machine with 32 GPU nodes that each contain 4 Tesla V100 GPUs, but also 2 Power 9 CPUs. And as you can see here in this pictures, we have the NVLink connections between the GPUs, but also we have the connections between the GPUs and CPUs, so to enable both the multi-node GPU use, but also the large memory GPU use, so that the GPUs are able to access the main system memory. This is set to enable hybrid CPU and GPU applications, but the incentive for us to buy this machine was that it is ideal for machine learning and artificial intelligence applications, and that you will be able to process higher resolution imagery that just needs more memory. And so we hope that by this you will be able to actually do more machine learning or bigger machine learning batches on there. The software environment has the IBM artificial intelligence and machine learning toolset on it. We have the Watson machine learning community edition still on. However, it won't be supported from April. So this is an ongoing discussion between us and IBM. But it is replaced by the Open Cognitive Environment, OpenCE software environment, which where you can use Anaconda to load things like TensorFlow and PyTorch and things like that. So you have all this machine learning capability on there. But you can also use this for traditional GPU computing. So we've got all the GNU compilers, we have IBM compilers, we have OpenMPI on there. So you will be able to also do non-machine learning computing, of course. And we have some of these examples in our case studies later on. We use mainly the module environment to load the software library. So users that have already used other supercomputers will be familiar with that. We also have SPAC on there. We do have easy build, but it's not recommended to use that for some reasons. So we have the standard environment there that you will find on most supercomputers. We use the Slurm scheduler, and yeah, I also put you this link on here on the slide that contains basically the IBM information on this. So I would like to now take you through how you would get onto Bede if you're not already on there, and who you can contact if you need help. So as I already mentioned before, each of the 8 universities has committed one full-time equivalent worth of research software engineering support. So there is one RSE at your university who's basically fully committed to helping you get your code running on Bede. The RSE is part of the Bede support group that not only contains the Bede RSEs, but also the research infrastructure engineers on there. And you can find your site contact on this link. So each university has their own system, either an email address or a single or a mailing list. So how you can contact your Bede RSE. And you should actually already get in contact with your Bede RSE before project registration, just to make sure that your software is actually suited for Bede and that you also fill in the project registration form in the right way. And you can contact them anytime with your questions about how to get your code on Bede and how to make the most of the machine. The project registration process is described here under this link. So what you do is you contact your Bede RSE, as I just mentioned, so that they can help. Then there is an online form that you can fill out. The link is on here. The application is then sent to an email address that is given on the form and will be reviewed by your local Bede approval team. So because each N8 site has their share of Bede, and the local Bede approval team will forward the decision to the central N8 CIR team. And if it's successful, you will then receive an email with a project code and further instructions what to do. And otherwise, you will be informed about the rejection, but you can apply as often as you want. So you can change your application and submit again. So there's no quota on that. When you have a project code, you should register it safe. So that's the same system that Dirac is using, for example, that you will have used for Archer. So then as the PI, you can invite your project team members to register, and they will then request access to your project that you have to approve on there. I've also added the link here to add a deputy or co-I. So if you don't want to approve all these requests, so you can make someone co-I on that project, and they can then work through the requests. If you're not on an N8 university, currently you are still able to get access through the EPSSC access to HPC application process if you have already an EPSSC grant. You can, however, also apply for pilot projects on Bede ahead of an EPSSC application, and you do that through the same form on here. So it will have the information what you have to do on the form if you want to apply for a pilot project. We already do have some documentation. I put you the link on here, and we have a short version, basically essential documentation, also on our direct N8 CIR website. However, there is still a lot to do on this documentation, and we're working through that in the Bede support group. If there's anything that you're missing in the documentation, please let us know. Contact your local Bede RSE, and they'll forward that to us, or they will put it in, so that we hopefully soon will have some complete documentation on there. We are currently also in the process of working out a Bede driving test, which will be similar to the Archer driving test that some of you might have already seen. So that's about whether prospective users know how to use the HPC environment so that they can start using it. This can be used basically as training or onboarding, but there is also talk about or discussion about whether we will use this for non-8 applications to replace the EPSSC access to HPC application process. But this is all very much work in progress. If you need any further support, so we are currently setting up a ticketing system, which will have site-specific email addresses. So we will make this public and put it on the website as soon as we have that sorted. We do have Slack workspace. This is open to all Bede users and enables you to basically have quick turnaround support. So for smaller requests, like I don't know what library to the tier or what to do there. And so we do have the whole Bede support group on there, and we also have people from IBM and from OCF on there, and people can also then help each other. Basically, users can help users. So we hope that this will also improve support for everyone on there. We plan to provide some training. These are the pages that lead you to some training. So the first one will have some links and videos on there, and the other one, the second one, is our N8 CIR training website. We do not at this point have specific Bede training, but that is also something that we are working on. And you could also should also always keep an eye on this website here, because that is where we will also update the information on how to get support. So when the ticketing system will be online, for example. If you use Bede, we would ask you to acknowledge this. So this is just the standard acknowledgement text that we have also on the website, so that we make sure in our reports and we are able to list the publications that have used Bede. And that's basically everything from my side.